You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Welcome to the Dressage Today podcast, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim. We are back live this month with a new show. We apologize for last month. Our schedules got kind of crazy. The Olympics was going on, and we were not able to get a new show recorded. But we're back, right?
Hey, we're back. We're here.
We're back. We're back this month with a very special show. This is a special event here that we've got going on. I know. Later, we will be talking to Stephany Crossman, who, if that name sounds familiar, it's because we talked to her in season 3, episode 31, which came out in December 2022. We first talked to her, but we are bringing her back to have a surprise conversation with her. And you'll be hearing all about that in a few minutes.
Yay.
Yeah. But for now, we are going to jump right into our Ask the L question for you, Aviva.
Okay.
This question comes from Lauren, and she asks, how do you know when it's time to move up to the next level?
Good question. So, Lauren, I'm going to ask you a question in order to answer this one. So, I think a lot of the answer to this depends on why you show. And if you are going out to find out where the holes are in your training, that's one answer. If you go to win high score award at the end of the year for your GMO, that's another answer. If you're going to qualify for regionals or to go to nationals, that's yet another answer. So I know when I was starting in dressage, the rule of thumb was that you showed somewhere between a level and 2 levels below where you were schooling.
Right.
But for those of us who are, schooling at training level, you can't get a whole lot lower. So, I think the answer depends on what it is you're going to a show for. And I think it also depends on whether you're talking about going to a schooling show or whether you're going to a licensed show.
Right.
If you're going to a licensed show, you're going to spend a lot of money these days. So be really clear about why you're going. You're going to get a pretty high quality judge, and that high quality judge is going to give you a really good idea of where you are in your training. Your leg yields are a disaster, but your lengthenings are great, so you know where the holes are in your training. But there are a lot of really, really high quality judges and LGrads who do schooling shows who are also going to give you a pretty good snapshot of where you are in your training. So if you want to know where you are, I would say the answer to the question is move up when you want to know how you're doing. Not you know that you've already got it. You have questions, is my lengthening big enough? Is my shoulder in really a true shoulder in? That's one thing. On the other hand, if you're going to win a ribbon, then you need to feel like when you head down center line, there is absolutely no movement in the test that in any way, shape, or size challenges you.
Yeah.
That you can do this with your eyes closed with no reins, that it's that easy. So I challenge you, Lauren, to decide why it is you're going to show. And then once you are honest, and remember, a lot of people say, oh, I just want to know what the judge thinks. And then they go and they get a 55 and they're really upset.
Right.
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot in the past about the fact that sometimes we go to show and we discover that the holes that we think we have are not the holes we actually have. We have different holes.
Yeah.
So, I encourage people who don't show a lot and who don't have great aspirations to do some schooling shows to see where do you fall apart. Because it's funny, sometimes we think, well, shoulder in is really my weakness, but you've schooled shoulder in so much that when you get into the ring, The shoulder in is no problem at all, but you discover that something really basic is like a 10-meter trot circle.
Right.
That suddenly has become very difficult because you've been focusing on something else.
Yeah.
So be honest with yourself about why you're going. If you're going to learn, be open to the judge's comments. Remember that if you're at a licensed competition, you're not going to get a lot of feedback from the judge. You're going to get more feedback if you go to a schooling show. The other thing that I would suggest is, and I say this hesitantly, know your judge, know the person who's sitting at C. If you know that it's somebody who always gives you 8s, maybe that's not the person who's going to help you figure out what's needed. On the other hand, if it's somebody who always gives you a 4 on rider position, maybe that person isn't going to be real helpful either. And there are judges obviously who like certain things. I mean, I've known over the years that there were judges who didn't like my particular kind of horse. There is still some breed bias. At the lower levels, of really fancy moving horse always starts in an advantage over a lesser moving horse, but that doesn't mean that the lesser moving horse can't win.
Right.
So, just know why you're going, know who you're going to show for, and don't blame the judge.
Yeah.
Be willing to acknowledge that this was a snapshot in time. One of the things that I hear a lot from people is, well, the judge doesn't realize that, last month my horse was standing up on center line and now, we didn't. But that's not the job of the judge to know where you were last month. The job of the judge is to tell you where you are in this moment.
Right.
And you may today ride a 75% test, and tomorrow you may go out and ride a 60% test. And that's reality too. And it's not that the judge tomorrow is wrong. It's you didn't ride as well.
Right.
So know why you're going. Figure out what it is that you want from the experience. If it's just mileage in the ring, then why are you going for the mileage? Are you going for the mileage just you want to make it as easy on your horse as possible?
Yeah.
Or are you going to see how much pressure can my horse take? So there's so many variables to this question. Be honest with what you want, decide why you're going, and then make a decision based on that. Hopefully that answers your question, Lauren.
I think that's good. You always
give a straight answer, do I?
You usually do answer the question with a question.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends.
Well, the thing about dressage is that there is really nothing that is, it is an art. There is science, yes, but it is an art form. And, there are no definitives in art.
No.
So that's where I'm ending.
Okay. That sounds good.
Thanks.
So we appreciate your answer, as we always do. And if anyone else has any burning questions about life in the show ring, please reach out to us on social media. Up next is our conversation with Stephany Crossman. Well, we want to welcome Stephany Crossman back to the Dressage Today podcast. Hi, Stephany.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Stephany.
If you haven't heard from Stephany before, we talked to her once before. So you have to go back through the podcasts and find her and listen to her. But we have brought her back on for a very special reason.
Dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun. That's right. Do we have a drum roll? I don't think we have a drum roll.
Oh, nice. Well,
people may or may not know, but at the beginning of this year, I actually took a different position within the Equine Network. I actually moved over to the brand The Horse, which is a healthcare brand, as their managing editor. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I technically left Practical Horseman and Dressage Today, but I have continued to help with the podcast, one, because I love talking to Aviva. And I love talking to all the great people that we talk to, but also to help out while in the transition period while other people were brought on at Practical Horseman and Dressage Today. So I continued to help out, but it is something that I do need to slightly pass the baton on to. And so after some conversations and different things, and Aviva and I talked and stuff like that, we thought it would be good to not change it up too much and bring someone in with the same name as me.
Yes.
So we looked, and sure enough, here is Stephany Crossman, who actually talked to me about being interested in doing it. And so when we all had some conversations, we thought that maybe this would be a nice thing to do. So Stephany, welcome officially as a co-host of the Dressage Today podcast.
Thank you very much. I am excited. When I heard that you were moving, that was my first thought is, I could chat with Aviva. We could talk to people. That would be okay.
Why do I feel like a consolation prize?
No. I was like, Aviva and I could do this. That would be really exciting. So yeah, I'm very happy to be doing this. And as much as I've loved listening to both of you and all of your awesome people that you've interviewed, I'm excited to be a part of it and to get to talk to them myself.
I know. Well, it is an awful lot of fun. We do get to talk to some pretty cool people, as Aviva and I have shared multiple times on this podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I have to say, when Stephany told me that she was leaving, my first thought was not yay. It was, well, I'm out of here.
Oh no.
and then Stephany talked to me about, possible co-hosts, and she brought up Stephany Crossman, and I thought, I could talk to her every month. I like her. She's my friend. I bet this would work. So I am trading one Stephany for another,
That's
but
right.
two very, very different people. And I think that for our loyal listeners, that we're going to be the same and totally different.
Right.
And I think it's going to be wonderful. I think Stephany's going to bring a different flavor and a different approach, but I think it's going to be equally as wonderful as Stephany Ruff. And lucky me getting to talk to both of you, and lucky me getting to stay on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So things will remain relatively the same, and yet, I'm sure there will be a different flavor to it. But since it's been a while since we talked with you, Stephany, we kind of wanted to let you sort of catch people up, give people an update on what you've been up to recently.
Well, I think we talked in the summer of 2022. I think that was when we chatted last. Since then, I have had a fairly major life upheaval, not a bad one. In April of last year, 2023, I closed my business in Brooksville, which is where I got to meet you, Steph.
Right.
I closed my training facility down there, and I moved to Okeechobee, Florida, which is pretty much an hour and a half to 2 hours from anywhere. So if you wanted to be out in the middle of nowhere in Florida, you would move to.
You would come to Stephany.
So my husband has cattle, and a beautiful cattle ranch was purchased here. So I now have the amazing opportunity to live on a cattle ranch with a really big ranch house that I actually Airbnb out. So that's a kind of an interesting new side gig for me. I have a covered arena, which is just an absolute godsend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have a 10-stall barn. I still get to raise the baby cows when they lose their moms. So that's very exciting. But it's obviously a big change for my business because everyone in the immediate area thinks that my saddle is broken because it doesn't have a horn on it. So it's been great for me because personally I've had a lot more time to work on my own riding. One of the pitfalls of being a professional is you have to make money to pay for your horses, which sometimes mean that your horses are not the ones that get done. There's been some great things. There's been some sad things in that way. I lost my FEI horse. We had to put him down due to a career-ending injury that also he was not able to get past mentally. So that was a big loss. But my young horse, who is 8 this year, is coming up beautifully. So that's really exciting. And I've been traveling more. I've been doing more clinics around Florida. I do teach lessons. I kind of have groups in Wellington and Palm Beach County and Martin County, and just kind of, it's like mini clinics. And then I've been trying to build up my clinic business outside the state of Florida. I'm going to North Carolina. I'm going back to Maui. I know that's a really hard pill for everybody to follow.
Yeah. All of us really feel bad for you having to go to Maui.
It's such a chore for me, but I just make it happen for them.
Yes. You're a good friend.
As the global leader in equine health, Boehringer Ingelheim is focused on sharing our passion to improve the life of every horse. We understand that no one cares for a horse alone. It takes a whole network of passionate people to provide the highest level of care. Our team goes beyond our comprehensive product portfolio to support veterinarians, equine care professionals, and horse owners alike in raising equine health to an art form. To learn more about our philosophy of care, visit theartofhorse.com.
So I've been able to do my own riding more, and that's just been great. I've been able to work with some of my mentors more. I did go to Tennessee this year to work with Harry Whitney, who is an amazing natural horsemanship. I've been blessed to get to work with Kathy Connolly a little bit more. We actually, here at the ranch, out in the middle of nowhere, we've had 2 international clinicians come in. Mary Wanless came to our facility, and she loved it. She'll be coming back next season, either February or March. And we also had a gentleman from Australia come in, Mark Langley, who is another natural horsemanship person. So we've really been able to put together kind of an international clinic facility in the middle of nowhere.
Wonderful.
We just make sure
Congratulations.
thank you. We make sure that they get all their groceries and they fill their car up with gas before they get here.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been exciting. It's different. It's not horses 12 hours a day, but that gives me more time for some writing and some consideration. And I would say overall, both my teaching and my writing has improved immensely from it.
And it gives you time to do a podcast.
The best part of it all.
I know.
And for our listeners who didn't listen to our interview with you, Stephany, a little background about you. You are a specialist in biomechanics. And if you haven't listened to our podcast, listen, because Stephany's really amazing. And
thank you.
She was so fabulous that I actually ended up bringing her up here to Maryland and doing a weekend clinic with her here. Learned a ton, had a wonderful time, and it's definitely worth the listen. It's a very different way of looking at your riding. And I think it's part of why I'm excited that you are going to be my co-host, because we are very similar in a lot of ways about what we do, but we come at them a little bit differently. And I think this is going to be a wonderful marriage of not disciplines, but perceptions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with you having the judge's point of view, understanding what you want things to look like from the judge's standpoint, and the benefit of you being a trainer. How do you help people get there? And then, what with me trying to help them overcome either their lack of body awareness or their profession that might make them incorrect in the saddle or crooked in the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be great fun to be able to attack it from both sides.
Yeah.
That is actually something else I did. I forgot to mention that. I moved up in my accreditation with Mary. So
congratulations. That's right. I remember.
Yes. I did more case studies and more videos, and I am now one of 5 level 2s in the United States.
Wow. I went back and looked it up. So it was for people who want to go back and listen to our first interview with Stephany. It was season 3, episode 31, and it was released on December 27th, 2022. So it was, I know, it was our last podcast of the year at that time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What a way to roll up the year. That was great.
Yeah. So go back and take a listen to that, and then we will get all caught up with you. And so going forward, people probably won't hear from me quite so much, though I may step in every now and then, and it's hard to walk away from this stuff. And so I may step in if somebody needs, if somebody can't be there or needs help with an interview or something, or maybe I'll just check in from time to time and, just to make sure people can still hear me as well. It's
absolutely.
I think.
Well, I don't want to get all maudlin and everything else, but I can't remember how many years it's been now, Stephany, but it's been such a wonderful ride together, and I so appreciate your thinking of me when you started this project.
I know. Well, it's been a little over 3 years, I guess, that we've been doing this. And it has been great fun. And it's funny because, Aviva and I, when we started doing this, we knew each other, but we didn't know each other well. And even though we lived in the same state for many years and we knew a lot of the same people, we had only ever crossed paths, a couple of times. And so, but we have, of course, through this have gotten to be good friends and everything, and so that will certainly continue. And so, yeah, I may be taking a back seat, but I'll still have a toe. I'll still hook a toe into it, and
now that's not a mixed metaphor. Come on.
I'll hang on for a while, and
you'll be in the back seat. You're not going to get out of the car completely.
No. I'm going to let you guys do the driving for a while. So next month, the September podcast, you can look forward to still hearing Aviva and Stephany. It will just sound a little bit different.
The second Stephany. Stephany's a dude.
Oh, well, that'll be great. So thanks for jumping on here, Stephany, and talking with us and setting everything up. And we really I look forward to listening to the Dressage Today podcast and hearing what the two of you have to say.
Excellent. Again, thank you, ladies, for the opportunity. I am just so excited about it.
We are too.